Okay. This lecture is lecture 6.2, Homophobia and Other Problems Faced by the LGBT Community. So we'll again be giving our base definitions, then discussing homophobia itself and other issues faced by the LGBT community, which are largely based on problems dealing with homophobia. Homophobia is like the centerpiece problem in the queer community, just like racism is the centerpiece problem in the African American community or other communities, right? This is the big thing that and structure of things that keep them down. So, at its most basic definition, homophobia is a prejudice against LGBT people. But it's also, just like racism, a system of oppression of the LGBT community that is built into our society by generations of oppression. Obviously, homophobia and patriarchy are two very closely related and interrelated problems. This lecture is going to explore homophobia in great detail. Heterosexism, then, are the overarching system of advantages bestowed upon heterosexuals while excluding the needs of non-heterosexuals. Heterosexism, then, is propped up by cultural standards of heteronormativity, which we'll talk about in the next slide. So heterosexism is viewing all sexual orientations that are not heterosexual as being somehow inferior or lesser. Heteronormativity is the cultural condition of heterosexuality being considered normal. So straight people are normal. It is normal to get married. It is normal for parents to expect children to marry someone of the opposite sex. Only heterosexual sex is seen as being, quote, natural. Parents assume, or of a child, the parents are assumed to be one male and one female, and they are in a sexual relationship, right? All of these things are propped up by standards of heteronormativity, where, yeah, I think that more or less makes sense. Let me know if you have questions there. Compulsory heterosexuality is another closely related concept of heteronormativity, right? But compulsory heterosexuality is more talking about actual sexual behavior. This is defined as a condition of a culture or subculture in which only heterosexual relationships or heterosexual sexual activity is acceptable. And this can have negative impacts on people, real negative impacts. This can drive non-heterosexuals to marry heterosexuals in an attempt to have a quote-unquote normal life, right? And obviously, if a gay man marries a woman who is heterosexual, there will be sexual issues. There may be issues that aren't even sexual, emotional issues there. But that has had, I mean, it's documented. It's happened many times. It can also lead to premature sexual encounters if an LGBT person is attempting to quote unquote sexually prove themselves as being heterosexual, right? Well, if you're that young gay man who has sex with a girl to prove how straight he is, and that one sexual act results in a pregnancy, then that is probably a situation you don't want to be in, right? And that absolutely happens. It happens a lot. Well, not a lot. It has happened many times. Let's put it that way. Let's talk about homophobia itself. So, in this portion of the lecture, we'll be talking about how LGBT people are harmed by homophobia, and then we will talk about how everyone in society is harmed by homophobia. There are several different types of homophobia. First, we have personal homophobia, which is a personal belief that LGBT people are somehow inferior to heterosexuals. Now, the exact nature of this attitude can vary. It could focus on sexuality, it could focus on morality, it could focus on any number of things. It could be a religious attitude, but not necessarily. So maybe the LGBT person is pitied, shunned, or blatantly hated by their community. These attitudes may be kept to oneself, right? So homophobic individuals may be in communities that do not discriminate against gay people. So in that case, the person would keep their homophobia to themselves, in which case they would be prejudiced. Remember our conversations about that. They would have prejudice, they would have the attitudes, but they would not necessarily discriminate. Discrimination, reminder, is the action of excluding a person because of their identity. Then we have interpersonal homophobia. This is when personal homophobia impacts interactions with other individuals, and this can include discriminatory acts, insulting acts, or violence. So this is what interpersonal homophobia is, when that prejudice bubbles up to then discriminate against the individual or slurs about the individuals, etc. It's when that person doesn't keep their homophobia to themselves effectively. Then we have institutional homophobia. This is when rules or structures of public or private institutions are discriminatory to LGBT people. It can include structures that are blatantly discriminatory or passively harmful to LGBT people. So it can be on purpose, intentional discrimination, groups saying that we will not hire gay people, or you can't be in this group if you are gay. It could be that. Or it could be passive. So it could say be something like, well, you can only, this is for only for traditional families, or any husband and wife are welcome to join our organization, or it could be a parents-only organization, for example, that that hasn't blatantly and exclusively welcomed LGBT people. There is a wide range of what institutional homophobia can look like, just like institutional racism, just like institutional ableism that we'll talk about in a couple weeks. Then we have cultural homophobia, and this is a really complex idea. It's laid out really well on page 382 of your reader, but cultural homophobia are the elements of collective culture that are not formally enforced, but have the impact of oppressing LGBT people. So these are the components of our culture that we all know of that oppress gay people. So components of cultural homophobia include the conspiracy to silence and denial of gay culture, the denial of popular strength, so denying that the gay community is a substantial cultural group in our society. The fear of over-visibility, so fear within the LGBT community that if they are too visible, if they are too showy, that they're, quote, rubbing our faces in it, right? And that would be a bad thing, and thus we would have to then punish that community. The creation of defined public spaces. This is a really complex one. You might want to dig into there on page 382. But there is an idea that if the gay community is just self-regulated to the quote-unquote gayborhoods, the gay regions of the city, then maybe we might start culturally forcing them to only do that stuff in their neighborhoods. That's a really dynamic idea. There are points you can make either for or against those kind of ideas. The denial of self-labeling. So not allowing people to identify themselves as gay, and also negative symbolism, also known as stigmatizing, by Irving Goffman. People putting negative attributes on the gay community. Though that's a heavy component of cultural homophobia. So that's how homophobia hurts gay people. Here's how homophobia hurts everybody. Homophobia inhibits the ability of heterosexuals to form close relationships with members of their own sex, right? Homophobia keeps me from hugging some of my older male family members, right? Because not because I'm afraid of it, but because it might freak them out, right? Homophobia locks out all people into rigid gender-based roles that inhibit creativity and self-expression. Um, I'm sure I might put it pretty great in certain kinds of dresses, right? But that's not something that is available to me, and I would probably feel uncomfortable in doing it because of basically what homophobia has personally done to me, right? And I'm sure you could make similar examples about yourself. Homophobic conditioning harms the moral integrity of heterosexuals by encouraging them to treat non-heterosexuals badly. This is more of a philosophical harm, but effectively it turns us all, not just heterosexuals, it turns all of us into hypocrites if we allow ourselves to accept homophobic concepts into our brains. Homophobia can be used against individuals who are perceived as being homosexual even though they are heterosexual, right? So, and this is closely associated with high school bullying kind of stuff. I can speak to this personally. When I was in high school, I was perceived as being gay because I was not hegemonically masculine, and because I lived in a very small town, and it was a hegemonically masculine place, right? And that was hard to go through. It was very confusing for me. It was, I don't know if how confused the bullies were, but it yeah, really weird. And I'm not ashamed that I'm straight. I'm confident that I'm straight, but it was psychologically troubling to me. It was a very confusing thing. Homophobia limits family relationships of those people who have non-heterosexual family members, right? So there are many people that after a loved one comes out of the closet, they don't know what to do with it, or they act inappropriately, and it harms those relationships. That is an impact of cultural homophobia. Homophobia prevents some LGBT people from developing an authentic self-identity by encouraging them to marry unknowing heterosexual spouses. And conversation of authenticity are often complex, but statistically, culturally, there are likely, there have been many non-straight people who have gotten into heterosexual, quote-unquote heterosexual marriages because they felt the cultural pressure to do that. And that likely is harmful. Homophobia is one cause of premature sexual involvement and thus increases chances of teen pregnancy and STDs. We discussed that a bit ago. Homophobia and sexophobia inhibits meaningful educational conversations regarding sexual activity. There is, and I could provide studies if you really needed me to, there is no proof to show that abstinence-only education is effective for our young people. Sex ed is a critical component of a high school education, and the social science shows that. So the fact that we're afraid of talking about issues in the LGBT community, the fact that we're afraid to talk about sex in general, really does hurt our young people. Homophobia inhibits and has inhibited a unified and effective government and social response to AIDS, and as a result, thousands have died who could have been saved. The history of the inadequate response to the AIDS epidemic in the gay community in the 1980s is one of the saddest moments in our nation's history. And The fact that we still don't really talk about it in high school classrooms, right? It's mind-boggling, and it's probably due to homophobia. That should be right there in the history textbooks, but if I were to look at 100 books, I would guess that maybe 2 of them would talk about it. Homophobia inhibits heterosexuals from benefiting from the intellectual and cultural gifts of the LGBT community. That's more of a philosophical one, but it makes reasonable points. Like, there are probably ways that we are being... there definitely are. Homophobia saps energy from more constructive endeavors. Sure it does, right? So if someone's so concerned about, the gays coming after us, they could probably be doing something more beneficial, like, anything else. Homophobia inhibits appreciation of other types of diversity. Chances are if someone has discriminatory mindsets, they probably also don't just have one group that they're fearful and hateful toward. But let's talk about some other problems with the LGBT community. Again, this will be relatively short, but it's also tied to homophobia. Same-sex marriages are not universally recognized in our society. In all churches in our society, it's not universally recognized. LGBT people can't travel internationally, for example, and be absolutely sure that they will be recognized as married people. That's an issue. Alcoholism is disproportionately high in the LGBT community. There are a number of reasons for this. Part of it might be self-medicating for trauma, right? If coming out or something in those regards was a traumatic thing. Also, for a very long time in our society, the only real acceptable meeting places for gay people were alcohol establishments, and that may have driven up the alcoholism rates in the LGBT community. Adoption is often more difficult for LGBT couples. Adoption is an incredibly complex and difficult process, but it can be dramatically harder for gay people because in some region of the country, a gay couple is not seen as being as fit of parents as a heterosexual couple. Treatment of LGBT people highlights one of the major flaws in our perceptions of separation of church and state. Most people who do discriminate against gay people and do have feelings in those regards, many of those people, they underpin it with religion. And if we consider ourselves to be a society where we are separating the church and state, then why are we passing laws based on religious attitudes? It's a big issue. It's a big issue in our society. And homelessness is disproportionately high among LGBT youth, especially trans youth, because some kids, when they come out, it is traumatic, and it does result in people getting kicked out of the home. And then when a teen is kicked out of their home, then they are homeless, right? So that's a big problem. And that is it for this presentation. Thanks for coming.